Are you guys enjoying this timeline? I am. A recent article in The Mirror says there are fears of an imminent alien announcement. This is Inverted World Live. Oh, what is up, everybody? I am very excited for this episode. Very, very excited. We're very happy you're here. I'm your host, Shane Cashman. I'm joined by Alex. What's good?
What up?
I can't wait to get into it, and I really don't want to wait much longer.
I'm excited.
My next guest has a new special out. Why is everybody getting so quiet? He's one of my favorite people. I've been listening to him for a very long time. I've had the pleasure of doing two of his shows, and I'm stoked to talk to him because it seems like this year has culminated into things he's been talking about for a long time. Let's bring on Sam Tripoli. Yo.
I'm here, dude. How are you guys?
We're good, man. How are you?
Doing great. Blessed to be here. Thank you, Shane, for the kind words. Why is everybody getting quiet? Is live right now on Twitter, X, samtripoli.com, Rumble, and all that. So thanks for having me on to promote it. I appreciate you.
I'm stoked on it, man.
Wild bonkers timeline, dog. Tony Hinchcliffe at Madison Square Garden.
How good is this timeline? How good is this timeline? Did you ever think you'd see Tony Hinchcliffe on stage with Trump?
No, dude. I brought him on his very first road gig. Tony was a door guy at the world famous Comedy Store with crazy stripper eyes. That's why I said, like, when you're in comedy or entertainment and you're like hoping to make it and you're like, what's going to happen to my career? You get these crazy day shift stripper eyes, right? Dangerous raccoon eyes. That's what Tony had for a very long time. And now to see him on stage at Madison Square Garden is so crazy and so amazing. And you know, the guy always had belief in himself, so could be happier for my good friend.
And you just did it. You were just on Kill Tony.
I was on Kill Tony, just did Rogan. Now I'm a trivia question. You know, Joe Rogan, Donald Trump's appearance on Joe Rogan podcast was the biggest podcast of all time. Fun fact, what was the other episode that dropped the exact same day? Who is the Eskimo Brothers with Donald Trump? Comedian Sam Tripoli. There we go. Bang.
Incredible. How did it feel to drop that? Because it was like people were getting conspiratorial about the episodes because yours went up and went away. And then Trump's went up and went away. And everyone's like, oh no, YouTube's doing something. Joe says it wasn't weird, but everyone's like, why they nuking Tripoli all of a sudden?
You know, this is an interesting moment because I could like add fuel to the conspiracy fire and then everybody runs around nuts because that's a new thing that people do now where it's like, oh my God, I'm being censored. And then they try to drum up things. So we'll leave it like crazy times, dude. Crazy times. I mean, like I am censored everywhere. So it would totally make sense. You know, it's interesting when you go on Rogan. My biggest thing with Rogan is like, just don't get him in trouble. That's when I go on the show, just don't get him canceled, don't get him in trouble, and land the plane. That's it. So it's fun to chop it up with him. It's very weird. I was there when I remember him discussing starting a podcast.
Wow.
He kind of just done Adam Carolla.
Right.
And he was like, I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to start a podcast. And I'm like, and see where it is today is so nuts.
It's incredible.
It's so crazy.
It's incredible. And you crushed last time you were on too, because the second to last time you dropped the knowledge on Antarctica. That was blowing his mind. And everyone's starting to talk about Antarctica a little more. And then this new one, I think a new reward people get these days is what Wikipedia tag is on the episode. You got lizard people.
Reptilians. We're getting fact checked by YouTube about the reptilians, dude.
I love it. All right. So keep going.
Well, you know, it was just interesting to me because, you know, again, it's like I'm in this kind of weird place right now where like certain things that progressives do are actually a badge of honor.
Mm-hmm.
like getting fact checked. If they fact checked you, it means you're probably right about reptilians. I'm
Right.
also in this weird place where, like, if you get called certain terms like racist,
Yep.
homophobic,
Yep.
anti-Semitic, it means you're probably a good person at this point, right? I mean,
Right.
because like the words really don't mean anything. I've been
Right.
trying to work a bit on this. It's like you being called a fascist
Right.
used to mean something. Now it's your dad that watches Fox News. That's all it is. These are the people calling you these words are worse than the words that they're calling you. It's like,
yeah.
I've hung out with racists before. They're annoying.
Right.
Woke people are assholes. So
Right.
at least you can tell a racist person, like, shut up, dude. I love black people.
Right.
Can you keep it to yourself? My girlfriend's friends are black. Shut up. But annoying people, they're annoying all the time, like constantly. Like, I don't even know why everyone's talking about civil wars coming up. Oh, we got civil war coming.
Yeah.
Like, between who?
Right.
Like,
yeah, between
who are we fighting? Like, is it the right versus the left? Because it's going to be a curb stomping if that happens. It's going to be rednecks versus furries or something
what
like
if,
that.
What if it's us versus lizard
much
people?
Of a war.
Us versus lizard people.
Well, the lizard. It's very interesting because Joe. I gotta go where Joe wants to go, but I do believe, dude, that the fallen angels came down, and created like lizard people to kind of fucking wrangle us.
Agreed. Yeah,
and that's
dude.
why they're all related.
Shout out to our friends Nephilim Death Squad. They talk about it all the time.
Had a big festival this weekend.
Yep.
The
Bohemian
Grove.
Yep.
Which started at my appearance at the club last year, and
That's
now
right.
they just continued it, and it crushed.
Yep.
And all my favorite people were there.
It's awesome.
So it was a lot of fun, dude. I'm super happy for all them.
So I started this episode by talking about this article about aliens. What do you think's going on? Do you think they're actually going to try to drop a blue beam on us before the election? Do you think this is actually going to happen? Or is it just more fears to drop in to get people to be subservient to whatever they want you to buy into?
I mean, that's all that's left, right? They've really pulled off everything. Assassination attempts, viruses, racial wars. All they got are little Japanese grays coming and doing weird things to our beeholes. That's all that's left.
Wow.
That's it.
Do you think?
I'm being honest with you. I don't really watch television. I'm watching some of the Penguin right now. It's episode 4 was great. Before that, it was so woke.
Right.
It's like his sidekick is a Puerto Rican that stutters, and they're taking on an angry waif model.
Right.
It's like all that's left is Batman showing up in a wheelchair, fighting crime. That's all that's left for the wokeness of that. But one show I would tune in for ever is black people getting probed. If you had a show where black people just talked about getting probed, that would get the highest.
You should start that.
All time, dude.
Sam, you should start that. That's your new show. Is it just called Black People Getting Probed?
To you guys, whoever is producing this amazing show, the production is great. Please give me money to interview Black People Getting Probed.
Do you think if they try to drop a blue beam, it's going to be like a projection scenario, or do you think they've already been here? Where are you at with that?
Well, I just did a show with a buddy of mine, Mike Binder. We were kind of praising Twitter, which I do think has some really amazing things going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the discussion is Elon Musk and what does he really represent?
Mm-hmm.
I think all these billionaires are just, LARPs, live action role players. He's no different. I think that goes all the way back to Mayor Rothschild, who's like this Paul Bunyan type story of him. Like,
right.
He was 14 years old and was the #1 investor in Europe, and he just made all this amazing stuff.
You're like,
right.
Dude, he was just placed in somewhere and told what to do.
Right.
It's 100% what's the story that happened, and there's a lot of that with Elon Musk, and so I do. So you're asking me, what do you think is going to happen? I think Starlink is the audio-visual,
really,
apparatus.
Interesting. He is a government contractor. He's a big government contractor.
Dude, he's like, look at the robots. You're like, these are the flip phone version of robots we're getting right now.
Right.
These aren't even the good ones.
Right.
What they have at like the DARPA center is so beyond our even understanding right now. They're at least 40, 50 years ahead of us.
I'll make the argument that, I agree. Those are the flip phone versions, but they probably released the better ones, and it's Elon himself.
I mean, like, what a great way get everybody having autistic children and then release a robot that seems autistic.
Right. Well, it's just because the Neuralink in his brain isn't working so well yet. I think he's a cyborg. I don't trust the guy.
Well, he does seem like a sex robot because he can't stop having kids with everybody. So, I mean, he's just constantly
Sex robot.
popping out children.
Sex robot's the new episode title.
So it totally makes sense. So that's what I think is what's going on. That's all they have left.
Yeah.
Now, I've had guests on. So I fluctuate. Like, I follow the teachings of Christ. I love Christ.
Same.
I don't know how much I'm into organized religion, of any organized religion.
Yeah, same.
But I've had guests on who've come here and said that the real Project Bluebeam is that the government's going to try to convince you that they are behind what's happening, but some real shit's going down.
Right. Wasn't that the original? Like, if you look Wikipedia Bluebeam, they'll tell you about Serge, like Manast, I think his name was, and it was more about projecting what they think is what people would think is their God, to get kind of everyone subservient to a one world order under this false God, which is what government has been.
But according to
becoming.
this chick who talked to the Intergalactic Federation, this is her,
right,
not me.
Oh, she's saying that.
She said that something really is going to happen, and the government's going to try to convince you it's a hologram done by them.
Oh, interesting.
So, like, yeah, there's layers of this stuff.
And you think
I think we're in interesting times.
We're in the greatest times. I mean, we could talk about Tony Hinchcliffe on stage with the former president, possible next president, while also talking about Project Bluebeam as a reality, because conspiracies are mainstream now. It's everywhere.
I love it. I was just telling my buddy, it's like, I love a paranoid population. We should, regardless of whether you like the president or not, you should hold his feet to the fire at all times.
Absolutely.
We lost the power diet. Like, they've convinced us that everything's an inversion, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like the elites have inverted the 1% from the Buddhists, which is 1% can change the population. If you get 1% strong, like the sync up, they can change the whole 99%.
Right.
But the elites have flip that to the 1% are these guys, they're in control and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
But we 100% could we should be in control, and we should constantly be asking, what is going on with our politicians. And I personally believe that they are fucked. I don't know if I can swear on your show, but I just did. Sorry about that. But I don't think that, you're hearing about these surprises that, like, Israel or the U.S. government or somebody's going to pull like a 9/11 type thing. It's not going to work anymore, because if they did do it, the population's at a place right now that they're going to be like, oh, we did this to ourselves. The government did this. They're not going to believe it's some like Trump just can't stop talking about Iran. Iran tried to kill me twice. Oh, so let me get this right. Iran sent trans to come get you. Like, does that seem like an Iran opponent is a trans who can't shoot straight? Does that make any sense at all? So, like, he keeps trying to pull that Iran story, and it's just not working.
I know, and I like Trump, and I'm voting for him. And my problem is I don't trust him, like I wouldn't trust any politician, and no one should. But what's really bothering me now about him is the people he's surrounding himself with, and especially embracing someone like Elon, because I really think he's bad for humanity in the long run. Not like with the robot stuff, the dystopian stuff with Neuralink, although it's beautiful in short term, giving people sight, letting people walk again, taking care of seizures, that's beautiful. But in the long run, it's going to be how the smartphones are now, right? If you don't have a smartphone, you're not a part of modern society. In the not so distant future, if you don't have a Neuralink, you're not part of modern society, and you'll be phased out. And he's trying to build a future that, to me, is anti-human. And Trump is, when you see him talk on Rogan about the 3-story building landing, it's crazy stuff. But he's looking at it like my grandma would look at Facebook. Like, it's just, it's so crazy,
Yeah. And it's also, Trump is like, Mike Pompeo's a great guy. You're like, the guy who literally is like, we just were trained to lie our asses off, lie about everything all the time.
Right.
And it's just like, no matter who you get into that position, they're surrounded by swamp creatures.
No matter what. No matter what.
I really do believe the only way you're going to change it is, usually everything's top down. I think it's going to be down up,
Totally.
like down to the top. You're going to have to start locally. Like people always go, "Oh, what are you?" Some people are globalists. Then there's some people are nationalists, and they've demonized that.
Right.
I have really been leaning into that. I'm a localist.
Oh,
That
yeah.
everything starts locally on you at your city councils, your board of educations, and then you grow up from there.